Welcome everyone to the fourth episode of About the Basketball Hall of Fame nominees. My name's Kirk Buchner, and I'm with Vinny Lospinuso, and we thought, the Basketball Hall of Fame, as much as we like who they eventually induct, although we are not big fans of the lack of transparency, saying that they have not done a very good job on their nomination process, not in regards to who they nominate, but in regards of how did we get here? Why are these people nominated? So Vinny and I, we thought, you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to tell all of you who these people are. And the great thing about this is a lot of these people are not going to get advance, and this series will sort of survive, and we're probably going to continue this for years on. Because there's a very good chance that for the people that we're talking about for this episode probably won't advance. So this will still be valuable as we go. And it's not a shot at those four. It's just, it's hard. It's hard to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do that, there's an old saying where you sort of pour one out. I never pour one out because that's a perfectly good waste of alcohol. But we're recording this on January 19th, 2024. And something that was very iconic for me growing up, and something that's iconic for Vinny as a historian. And Vinny is, I'll say it right now, the best historian right now going in terms of all sports. I will absolutely say that. But something died today. Something that I used to receive in my mail every week, late, because I was in Canada. Right? So I would get this a little bit later than most. Sports Illustrated laid off their entire staff today. Now they're probably going to survive in some capacity, in some shell, in some ghost, in some zombie form. Bottom line is this: they're dead. They've been dead for a long, long time. Another reason I won't pour one out, Vin, they did this to themselves.
Yep, it goes the same way as Blockbuster, as Circuit City, Lord and Taylor, Woolworth, so on and so forth. There's so many examples of companies or well-known brands that were once part of our lives, and now they cease to exist, except our memories.
Being on the Sports Illustrated cover meant you made it. It meant not just made it, it meant that you were in the stratosphere of what was important in sports. And they survived the television era, but they could not survive the internet era. And I think, as I'm just sort of saying this out loud, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not in tune with what they did in SI and how they try to stay relevant. But in the television era, I don't ever remember them pursuing anything on TV.
They actually did one time.
Yeah, okay. What did they do?
Okay, for those that don't realize, when Warner Communications and Time Inc. merged in the 90s to form Time Warner, that of course doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated was part of Time Inc. at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they had something called, I think it was CNN SI. It was basically their competitor to Disney's ESPN, which is still around with us.
I don't even remember that. How long did that last?
I think it lasted from I think it was 96 to 02, I believe.
All right, so I wouldn't have had it in Canada back in the cable era. Okay, so that might be why I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, no, it's
okay.
That's basically what. Well, they were with the Turner aspect of it, with CNN and Sports Illustrated, and of course, Time Warner. As a result, they're part of the Turner section with TNT and Cartoon Network and all that other stuff.
Okay. So,
yeah,
go finish, please.
They were essentially headline news, just like a regular, headline news, HLN or CNN, except sports instead.
So they tried and failed.
They tried and they failed. Yes.
Okay. Now, in the internet era, so I'll speak for myself, and then I want your take here. Uh, a lot of people dump on ESPN, the worldwide leader in woke, blah, 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 whatever you want to call them, saying that when it comes, there's not a day in my life that I don't go to ESPN.com in the
I
last
always
few
go to
years.
I always go to ESPN. Say we will about Disney and
Yeah.
how they own everyone and everything. I get that, but at the same time, ESPN has struggled not because low ratings or the woke or whatever some people say. A big reason why is because you don't really need to go to Sports Center these days. The main reason why people go to ESPN is for live games and those debate shows like Around the Horn or First Take or
Mhm.
Pardon the Interruption, so on and so forth. They've been integrating the Pardon the Interruption segments within Sports Center just to make sure they get some revenue. In fact, a big reason why ESPN is also still around is because Disney, with all the money they've had, has negotiated with the NFL to try to increase the number of games. That's why they have now in a divisional game. That's why they're increasing the number of Monday night national TV games. It's also why, I don't know if you heard this, Kirk, the
No,
NFL is speaking with Disney about acquiring a minority stake in ESPN, and the NBA has been thinking about
I
that
did
too.
not know that. No, no, that's news to me. But I
So,
think even if you're a hardcore antagonist or opponent of ESPN, you cannot deny that their online presence is still the worldwide leader. It is. Uh, Bleacher Report has done a phenomenal job coming out of really just sort of like a fan based idea and has gone up. I can argue that that Stephen A. Smith, just him alone, is more relevant than all of Sports Illustrated combined. Uh, Clay Travis, like him, love him, hate him, whatever it is more relevant than the brand of Sports Illustrated. I'm not a Clay Travis guy, but I see his name way more trending than Sports Illustrated. Agreed?
even Jamel Hill, and I don't even know. I think she's
That's another
works
good
like
one.
what.
Yeah.
I mean, names like her, or I know that Dan Levitar's not there anymore. I know he works for what, FanDuel or DraftKings now, whatever one of
I
those
don't even
two.
know.
I know Pat McAfee, Disney and ESPN
Great
sold the
example.
farm just to get him because they know that on FanDuel he was getting a lot of eyeballs,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and that draws people in. So they've been focusing more on celebrity and status as opposed to like hardline news, which
It's
the
something.
gossip stuff sells a lot more.
It's
That's
a
just a
it's a
fact.
it's something. They're trying to do something. Whatever, like it, love it, whatever. Sports Illustrated has not broke anything of note in a long, long time. I couldn't tell you any of the names that just got let go today. You
I don't
probably
know
could.
either.
I couldn't.
I have no idea because
Okay. If Vinny can't tell you, that's all you need to know. No, that's the second time I just sort of like put you on a pedestal there, bud. Uh,
not only that, when timing was spun off from Warner, and Warner Brothers was owned by AT&T at the time, now
yeah.
Discovery, the Arena Group bought it from the Meredith Corporation, and just in general for Sports Illustrated,
Mhm.
the last time I saw news about them was how they were using AI to write their own articles, which I was so like
I'm sure that
repulsed by.
I'm sure that's who they use to sort of like write their press release to say that unfortunately we let everyone go.
At this point, it wouldn't shock me, and it could just be under like a ghost writer that just says it, but it
Well,
wouldn't
this is
shock
what you
me.
get. And I sent you a message before we went on. And realistically, the only time Sports Illustrated ever got any attention was when they panicked and put people they shouldn't have put on their Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, which, let's be blunt, has been archaic for decades, only because if you want to look at pretty girls on, it's not, you don't need a magazine to do that. You haven't in your entire lifetime.
I mean, I don't need to. I can just go on to the hub.
Right, right. But I mean, like there was a legacy involved in that. And so the only time I ever remember them sort of like gaining any attention was, all right, we're going to put Megan Rapinoe in this, which nobody wants to look at. Let's be
Some
honest.
do, but it's not that they want it. It's more so
Not
out
the
of like,
people who want who wants to look at that?
well, the ones that are the very vocal ones, not necessarily the ones that are now.
Yeah.
No
So
offense,
all five. So when all five of those bought that issue, that really kept them in business, huh?
it got them attention, and that they thought that would be the big thing that would get the money, but not really. I doubt that would really do much of anything.
It didn't. And as much as part of my youth is gone, they have not been part of my adulthood, and it's their fault. And I don't weep today. I should, but it's their fault. They have not been relevant in my life. Well, okay, you and I, before we went on, we realized that we first started talking to each other in 2018. If we first started talking to each other in 2008, I'd feel the same way because they have not been relevant for me.
Yeah, they. I have some old covers from them, of course. I know they also the kids, Sports
But that's
Illustrated
you as
Kids.
an historian, though, Ben. Like for you as a sports fan, does their death mean anything to you?
I think in terms of a historical aspect of the writers that are there and also a lot of the old articles that are there, I hope there are people that save as many of those as possible. I hope the people that run Sports Illustrated have as many of those copies as possible because they're going to be, they are, I see them as extremely important. I want
Because now
every
the
single,
value's gone up. Yeah.
well, just in general, not just value. I'm looking at some myself that wants to get as many people into Hall of Fame as possible. Hey,
Right. Right.
there's some good articles there that could push for some cases. It could be pretty important.
Which we can still access.
Yeah, and like I think having a database, whether that's physical or digital, I think we need to have it on in general because I do worry about.
Well, they're not lost forever. We're just saying that the brand name moving forward, well, hasn't been worth anything for a while. It's done.
No, it just hasn't. I mean,
Yeah.
it's known as a legacy brand, but Authentic Brands Group, I mean, it's still doing fine. It's Aeropostale, Eddie Bauer, Reebok, Izod. They have a lot of brands already. Sports Illustrated is another drop in the bucket for them.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So like the actual we're not exactly weeping for the company, the umbrella company
Nor,
itself, but
nor should you. They're
well,
the guys that acquired a bunch of companies that may not have been doing as well, like Nautica or Reebok or whatnot. And Sports Illustrated is one of those.
but to your
So
point earlier though, Ben, when you said like the whole Time Warner merger, and I remember when that happened, and a big part of that was Sports Illustrated. It was a
that
very, very big part of that.
it was a big part, and then they bungled that with AOL a few years later. Then they sold that off. And then AT&T acquired them. That didn't do good. They sold them off, and then
Yeah.
Discovery bought them, and they're not doing well. Now there's rumors that they might get acquired by Comcast. So you're going to see further and further and further corporate consolidation, and the value of these historical companies and brands will diminish. So I hope, whatever possible, hold on to whatever you think is valuable or whatever is valuable because you never know what someone could do with that. Someone could take that away from you and you might never have a chance to see it again unless you have those physical copies.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the final say on that. Saying that, if you want to buy me out, I can be bought. Let's do continue on with part four, and please forgive us as we went on a bit of a rant, but this happened literally 2 hours before Vinny and I went live, and sometimes whenever there's a big sports thing, I'll never forget. Every time Kobe Bryant comes up, I think of you, man, because like you and I were tweeting each other a lot right before they announced Kobe's death. I mean, it was speculated, and then I remember writing the article, and I put that up before, ironically enough, ESP or coincidentally enough, ESPN, and It's not that I think of you in sort of like a bad way with Kobe, but I mean, it was just one of those things. Whenever there's like big sports things, so often you and I are sort of like trading some direct messages together.
Well, yeah, it's a big deal. Like
Yeah,
Sports Illustrated will always be part of sports history. I mean, they in
yeah.
terms of his historical significance, they're always going to be around in that context.
Well, they are. They are forever. But here's four names that we're going to talk about here. So we're going to kick off here with Marty Blake. Uh, he's nominated for his work, well, in twofold. One is the general manager of the Hawks, and you might be thinking, well, the Hawks, they've never been good. Well, they were at one point, and 1954 to 1970, so their lone championship happened under his watch. When he left, he went to go to Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Condors of the ABA,
Yeah,
as their GM. That didn't work, but he decided to open up his own scouting company, which was so effective that essentially the NBA said, "You're why don't you become our official scout?"
yeah, he was. He was like you got to go back to his earlier years. He was the guy that helped found the Continental Basketball Association way back in the 40s. Now, you might be wondering, what is that? Well, that was a big minor league for basketball for a long
Big
time, and
deal at the time, yeah.
he was one of the founders of it. And you said that he worked for the Hawks. You didn't say where they were. He became
I did
part of the
not.
Hawks. He became part of the Hawks when they were based in Milwaukee. Yeah, that's right. The Hawks used to be part of Milwaukee. People know that. They think of Atlanta Hawks, but no, like they were in St. Louis. And before that, they were in, Tri-Cities, and also in Buffalo and in Milwaukee. That's where he
Hmm?
ended up. He was with them in Milwaukee. And he was the guy that acquired Lenny Wilkens. And we all know how wonderful Lenny Wilkens has been. And
Two-time.
two-time Hall of Famer, yes. And for Marty Blake, because of the rosters he made, they made to many division titles, several championship appearances, and of course the one lone championship that the Hawks have had in their entire history in 1958. Um, and
Yep, was the team he built.
yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And he was the first ever GM to draft a European.
Yeah.
Dino Mengen, who is a Hall of Famer himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was supposed to look outside the box or outside the country, rather. Uh,
Yes. Manuel Raga
realistically,
from Mexico, he got to. Yeah.
yeah, realistically, the people he drafted did not succeed in the NBA, but somebody had to sort of like think, hey, you know what? Americans aren't the only ones who can play basketball.
Yeah, like
You know?
absolutely. He was someone that made a lot of people aware of how massive basketball was outside. And,
Mhm.
when he became the director of scouting services, he was the guy that saw a lot of players. Dennis Rodman, he discovered Tim Hardaway, Ben Wallace, Joe Dumars, Jack Sikma. I mean, this guy was literally called the godfather of the NBA draft for a reason. He looked at these smaller, under under the radar schools and was able to dictate and find talent and help fine tune it, and then we'll go on to have Hall of Fame careers.
And let's also remember, this is also at a time when, okay, so like right now, Vinny and I, we can pretty much watch almost any team anywhere in any college. Sure as hell couldn't do that when Marty was doing all this. So like
No,
the amount of work involved and the amount of, uh, I, I guess legwork really to try to
it's
figure out
incredible.
like who was real and who wasn't. You
Yeah,
know?
what he did was absolutely incredible and way ahead of his time, like
Mhm.
way ahead of time. He was ahead of the scouting. He won the John Bunn Award in I think it was '05. And the good thing about the
Oh,
John Bunn
yeah, you're
Award,
gonna tell
it's the
everyone what that
high.
is.
For those that don't know, the John Bunn Award is the highest honor that someone can get from the Hall of Fame other than enshrinement. And fortunately, as someone like me who likes to see guys that get those secondary awards get the full treatment, fortunately, the Basketball Hall of Fame, we are here. We hear you, Vinny. We are here for you. And we have many names that have done it. John Bunn, John Wooden, Cliff Fagan, Del Harris recently made it in 2022, Val Ackerman 2021. The oldest Bunn Award winner who has not gotten the full treatment has been Kirk Gowdy, who I hope does make it one day. Marty Bunn, fortunately, is not with us anymore, but also Vic Bubas, who I mentioned in a previous episode of this series, got in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
And there is precedent of people like, you know, Marty Blake eventually getting the full treatment down the line. When's
Yeah.
that going to happen? I'm not entirely sure, because it is a little tricky. And there is precedent for stuff like that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I look forward to, well, I'll probably be dead when that happens, when there's the Vinny Lospinuso Award for
What's that?
contributors. Anywhere. I mean, someone's going to name an award after you, buddy.
I hope so, but that I'd be honored by that. Though I would think that my main interest would be getting the people like him the full treatment. And I was pretty thrilled when also Pat Summitt has it. Tex Winter, that's another name.
At
The
someone has
Harlem,
that award?
yeah, the
Oh,
Harlem Globetrotters also have it as well, and they have been inducted as a team. Satch Sanders, Hall of Fame player and contributor. Al Addles, who
no,
is,
name.
I consider, Mr. Warrior, as he's been with the team for decades and decades and decades and has been a part of the team in every single aspect you'd possibly imagine. Phenomenal player, phenomenal coach, phenomenal executive, phenomenal consultant, Mr. Warrior in my eyes.
Maybe,
And, you know,
maybe you can work on
Mark,
an award in my name after I passed away.
oh, hopefully we just got,
Highest functioning alcoholic.
well, you are German, so they
Ah,
might see that as cheating.
half German, half French, which means I fight myself, and born in Canada. So there you go. Uh,
You be polite about it.
I am very polite.
Yes.
I am very polite. Let's keep up with the international one, and this is one that I think you were most excited because I get to pick these four. Jean-Jacques Conceicao. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and if I'm not, I apologize.
No, Jean-Jacques Conceicao.
Conceicao, I apologize. Sorry about that. Uh, I had to do a bunch of research. I did not get to see him play or hear him phonetically spoken about. But born in Zaire, raised in Angola, and Angola, for those not aware, was a Portuguese part of their Commonwealth, if you want to call it that. I don't know what that version would be.
You could basically say they were owned by them.
Yeah, they were. They were. So like
Don't feel ashamed. It's not you. You're not the reason why that happened.
white guilt, buddy. Every time that sort of like comes up, you just never know.
That's
Either way,
true.
yeah. Either way, we're talking here with about a player who might be the greatest. Well, I don't know about the greatest, but like one of the most successful players in the Portuguese league, but also a precursor to some of the greatness that we've seen come out of Africa. One of my favorite players in obviously because I'm a Raptors, well, not obviously. For those not aware, I'm a Canadian. I just did say that. But my favorite current Raptor has now been traded with Pascal Siakam. Africa is a hotbed of finding NBA talent, but it wasn't always the case. So Jean-Jacques was a predecessor to that. Was if he's not the best player in Portuguese league history, he's certainly the best player in Angolan international history. Correct?
In 2011, for the 50th anniversary of FIBA Africa, he was named by everyone there as "You are our god. You are the greatest ever." Jean-Jacques is considered the greatest player in African basketball history. No one else comes
So
close.
I understated it then.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. Now Angola and Portugal compared to compared to other countries and other leagues, not as strong. However, when you look at all the Afro baskets he won, 89, 80, 92, 93, 95, 99, 2001, 2003, he all won the gold because he was the leader of Angola, and also silver in 83 and 85 and a bronze in 87. He was someone who was also a 10 times Portuguese league champion. The Portuguese basketball league, the Liga Portuguesa de Basquetebol, which is the top league in Portugal, dates back to 1932. I'm actually looking to do some research into that one. There might be a founder in there might be interested in doing a case for.
Oh,
And he is one of the greatest players to ever play in that league. Benfica, SL Benfica, which is the most successful team in the history. He's won the most I think he's won the most championships or won the most championships by any player in their history, which is pretty incredible if you ask me. With 29 championships, and he was a part of 10 of them.
Yeah, I mean, like
That's
obviously this man was incredible at his time. Historically speaking, a big part of that, I think and maybe incorrectly. Oh, actually, here's a question. I didn't even look this up. I should have. Was he part of the Angolan team that lost to the United States in the Dream Team
yeah,
'92? He was?
yeah,
Okay.
they got destroyed
Yeah, they got destroyed.
116 to
So,
48.
right. Okay. But if that's all you want to sort of look at that as like please don't. I mean, like this is still a big deal to grow the game. Yes, they got destroyed. Of course they did. They were going
Yeah,
to.
it's Angola against the Dream Team, but you can't fault him for a bad performance. I mean, he led the way with 10 points and 2 assists and 7 rebounds. So, for whatever you could say about the team, he
Yeah.
wasn't the reason why they were doing
No,
bad.
no, 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 of course not. But I mean, like, he was also a reason why they even got through the Olympics in the first place.
Yeah, like, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't even see Angola represented in the Olympics that year. And granted, Angola in terms of FIBA Africa, they're generally seen as one of the best. It's either them or Nigeria in terms of competition in Africa. It's usually the top two, Angola in there, but in Angola and in Portugal, he
Oh,
was.
then I didn't check. Is he part of the FIBA Hall of Fame?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
2013.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like he's certainly a worthy contender. Whether he gets in or not, I don't know, but very much worthy of discussion here.
Yeah, like I
Sadly,
some
this is probably the most he's ever been discussed online.
well, I have no problem feeling that way as I love these kind of guys. I mean,
I know you
European
do.
players are one thing, but African players, oh my God, you're like putting me up back in my seat. In terms of his chances, though, I think Blake has more of a chance in terms of that contributor section, as considering there's only one international guy, and considering he played for Angola, he's gonna have a tough road ahead. And no offense to Jean-Jacques, but with other players and other countries that are stronger, I'm gonna have to lean more towards them as opposed to him. However, in terms of players part of the African international competition, he's no question the top guy in my mind.
Okay. So let's look at somebody from North America in the veterans category. Dick Barnett. Dick Barnett, superstar at Tennessee State, won championships there on that level, and two-time champion with New York Knicks.
He technically is already a Hall of Famer, you could argue, from
Oh, is he?
Naismith.
Okay.
Yes,
What have I
because
missed?
the championship teams that those championship teams that they won back from 57, 58, and 59,
Tennessee
all
State.
all three of those teams at Tennessee State,
Mm-hmm.
they all made the Hall of Fame, all three of them. I don't know if
Okay.
they came all as one or if they were individually chosen. Either way, he's was part of all three of those teams, and
Mhm.
you could say he's already a Hall of Famer in a sense, which by
You would
proxy,
not. You would not, though, would you?
in the same way that Christian Laettner is part of the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. However, the team itself is a part of it. However, individually, he is not part of it. So yes and no.
Okay.
I considering that he's the only one of those names to be part of there individually, he was the best player on those teams. He was a three-time Little College All-American and also from AP and UPI, and was the tournament's MVP in 58 and 59. Of those championship teams, he went on to have a quality career in the NBA, taking the 1959 draft, the
Mhm.
same draft that had guys like Bailey Howell and Wilt Chamberlain. He
Oop,
was there.
oop.
Huh?
I'm making a joke. Not a
Yeah,
good one, apparently.
Bailey Howell and Wilt Chamberlain, obviously legendary players in their own right. But Dick Barnett was no slouch either. He was part of the only ABL season where he won for the Cleveland Pipers. That's true. Cleveland, you did win a championship in basketball before the Cavaliers happened. Um, and he was considered one of the best players, if not the best player there. He went on to be part of the Lakers and then the Knicks from 65 to 73, and an all-star and a
A
back-to-back.
good veteran presence on those Knicks teams because
Oh,
he
yes.
was still a very solid contributor.
His final year, we won a second title. And
Yeah.
here's another fun fact for you. He's the only former Knick to have his number retired that's not currently inducted into the Hall of Fame. The other ones being
Oh,
Walt Frazier, Earl Monroe, Dick McGuire, Willis Reed, Dave DeBusschere, Bill Bradley, Patrick Ewing, and Red Holzman, the coach. But Dick Barnett is the only one who have his number retired from the Knicks that is still not inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he was named as a nominee back when the Hall of Fame had the Black Pioneers category, which unfortunately they don't have anymore. But when it was existent, he was part of it. Unfortunately, he did not make it through there, and now he's lumped in with the other veterans, which makes his path a little more trickier. That being said, considering he already had presence for a few years, he's also 87 years old.
oh, he's still with us. Okay, I didn't know.
He's still with us, so he could very well still have a chance.
Hmm?
Um, in terms of his likeliness,
Yeah, what do you think?
even though I really want to see Leroy Edwards and Leo Ferris and Max Zablowski make it, and honestly, I think because of the presence he had on those Tennessee teams, combined with the fact that the teams made the Hall of Fame, I would not be shocked if he's the guy that's chosen. I really would not be.
Okay.
In terms of who I would choose him, no. Compared to other names, no. But that's also because there's only one name you'd put in there. But if you were to choose only one, I would not choose Dick Barnett. No offense to Dick Barnett, but I'm just saying in general.
No, there's nothing wrong with having a preference. We're going to close off with a female candidate. We have actually, I think it's the first one we've done since the first time we did the series. Seimone Augustus, who might be the best player in Minnesota Lynx history. Four-time WNBA champion. A pretty good player. I don't know that she was considered a superstar.
Yeah, she was.
Was she though? I mean,
I mean,
a
you look at
superstar
her and
in overall basketball.
she'll make the Hall of I think she'll definitely make the Hall of Fame this year because she is, in
Really?
my opinion,
Over Lita Andrews.
that well, that other than Leda Andrews, I think she has the best case out of all these ladies. And
Okay.
there are also some other names that are, you look at the names here, Azzy. I think Seimone and Leda are the two most likely to make it as,
Okay.
inducted. Um, as for Seimone Augustus, she has a lot of history, of course, being a part of LSU for those few years. She went to a couple Final Fours, was the Naismith Player of the Year twice, Wooden Award twice, SEC Player of the Year twice. Got her number retired, Euro Cup MVP, Turkish Cup winner. And then in the WNBA, she was a part of 6 all WNBA teams, 8 All Stars, was a 4-time champion of that wonderful Minnesota Lynx dynasty, and was even the Finals MVP in 2011. Was she an MVP caliber player compared to like Sylvia Fowles, or let's say, could you say that she was better than Lindsay Whalen? I guess you can make a case for that. That again, all wonderful players in their own right. Also, had their name retired. Augustus is also part of the 20th and 25th anniversary teams for the WNBA, so that definitely helps in her favor.
Right, but is she considered is she considered fame, like famous?
I mean, she was the number one overall pick in 2006.
Oh,
She also
yes,
was a key
yes.
contributor
But
of that dynasty. And again, those Lynx teams were loaded with talent.
I
Like,
understand that, but is she famous? Because again, we're looking at Hall of Fame.
right.
A lot of people don't remember her.
I will also say that it definitely didn't help when you were on a loaded roster with, Waylon, with Maya Moore, with Sylvia Fowles. You also had Rebecca
Uh,
Brunson on those teams too.
right.
Hmm. You also had Teresa Edwards too on that team as well. Yeah, no. She was earlier, Teresa Edwards. Just a lot of great players. Maya Moore was her fouls were the better players. Waylon, I think Waylon came a bit later. Like I think she came with the dynasty. Like those dynasties had a lot of notable teams. So even though I wouldn't say she was as famous as some of the other names, I think because she was part of those two anniversary teams, plus the Finals MVP and the many All Stars and all WNBAs, I think she'll make it. I'm also looking at total All Stars by players.
Sure, but
All the ones
do
that made
you
it.
put her over Lita?
What?
Do you put her over Lita Andrews for this class?
No, I would put Lita Andrews above because she's been waiting way longer. She's the all-time winning head coach for yeah, like she's an obvious one. Though I think for Seimone Augustus, you go the name was 8 or more all-stars. Sylvia Fowles and Tina Charles and obviously Sue Bird are gonna make it. Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi are still playing. Tamika Catchings, Tina Thompson, and Lisa Leslie are all in. They made it, I think, in their first year. Also Neku Kamwe is also playing. I'm pretty confident that based on just the number of All Stars she has, plus the all WNBA, she'll make it. However, if I were to choose only one, and even though they don't choose only one, if I were to choose only one, I go with Leda Andrews because she's been a finalist way more times. She's also way older. She's in her late 80s, and when you have the most amount of wins by any high school coach, it's like a duh, yeah, do it.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you so much, Vin. We're going to do this again shortly. Hopefully, we can do a lot before the All Star game in Indiana.
Yeah,
With that, wherever you are, wherever you may be, make it a great day, kids, because it's not coming again.
yeah.